Welcome everyone to a video edition of the Sociedad de la Vihuela blog. My name is Lars Rossiger. I'm joined today by Brandon Acker, guitarist, lutenist, and educator. Thanks so much for being here, Brandon.
Thanks for the invitation.
We have planned to talk a little bit about the practical side of plucked string instruments. Our main goals are to offer some useful ideas and share some pertinent resources. Brandon, are you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Let's consider the general historical context of the plucked string instruments you play most, namely Baroque guitar, Baroque lute, including arch lute and theorbo, as well as classical guitar.
Right.
And what we can learn from the period repertory. Just wanted to get a little bit of discussion on the repertory. In a broad sense, there are strum dances, plucked and mixed style variations on dance forms. Maybe this is more on the Baroque guitar side. Songs and the operatic variety of styles. For maybe this is more on the lute side. But there's some crossover there. There are toccatas and there are suites. There's improvisation and all of the different traditions that go along with that, and probably many, many more that you may want to talk about, Brandon. There are some important changes going on historically here. Whether it's more about a representation or a presentation, should I say, of a historical piece, or maybe kind of something more innovative. Would you want to share anything just regarding the repertory? Anything that you've been focusing on? Any experiences you've had that are shaped by the repertory and kind of some of the cultural context?
Yeah. Well, it's a big topic and there's so much to say, but
Absolutely.
I would start with just my general experience, which is coming from first, electric guitar, rock guitar, playing in bands, then moving to classical guitar, and then the discovery for me of early plucked instruments and all of the musical styles that come with that, from the Renaissance to the Baroque period, and all the styles that exist within those umbrella terms. The instruments we play, the plucked instruments that we play within that. This umbrella is they're vast. There's something like 25, 30 different plucked instruments you can play that are guitarish, lute-like instruments. And
absolutely,
it's so hard to speak in general terms, but I would say what I've learned from transitioning and spending really the last 10 years of my life professionally devoted to these instruments and styles and learning to read the notation, investing time in understanding how to improvise within the various styles, playing continuo, all these wonderful things that we get to do, the fun things that we get to do on these instruments. What's so wonderful about the transition from, say, for example, the Renaissance to the Baroque, and why I tend to focus on Baroque music and the instruments that we play there, are because, as you mentioned, there are so many different styles: strumming, toccata, improvised toccatas. We have all these different dance forms, etc. And we see from the Renaissance, which is a heavily contrapuntal style, moving to the Baroque period, we see a change in style, a change in approach, technique. And I think for me, I could say what I really love, and I've learned to really appreciate about this music, is that we do so much off the page, like jazz guitar players. The score is just is a blueprint. It's a starting point, and I think that's what's so great about looking at this music is that we get to invest so much of our own personalities into the piece and actually take part in the act of composition itself, rather than just regurgitate or replicate some type of understanding of what the notation says. So it's hard to know exactly where to zoom in here on this big topic, but I guess I'll start with just saying that in my experience coming into this world from my background, I think it's such a wonderful, playful, pun intended, area of music where we have such a variety of sounds, timbres, tunings, techniques, and there's multiple lifetimes of time that we could invest into these various art forms. And yeah, so I guess for me, I love this music. I love to talk about it, and I'll end it there. But I could say a lot more.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brandon Acker, thank you. What I'm gathering from that response is one of the main how would you say positive aspects to all this. One of the big joys that you have is the realization that improvisation and personalization, or just kind of a variety of approaches to a particular piece. That's great. Yes, that makes sense.
Exactly, it's wonderful. It's the thing that separates it from, you could say, from the later styles of classical music. That improvisatory aspect is wonderful, and it means that every performance is literally unique. It's genuinely the only time that performance will ever take place in the way it did, which is notes
Yes.
and chords included. It's
Uh-huh.
it's a special thing.
I must say, yeah, I was a bit surprised that you went to answer the question that way, not in a bad way at all, but I think it's an important realization because in terms of maybe even going so far as to say that the perception of early music on a very general level is kind of this museum culture where we get to sort of recreate some
Academic.
kind of it's kind of closed off. Maybe there's some gatekeeping going on there, and it often takes place in a concert hall or just any venue that kind of might feel a little bit too formal for some, or
Some
not
people, exactly,
not accessible for
and including my former self. Not the reason I emphasize. I think the reason I emphasize that, Lars, is because I was never a classical music guy. I wasn't raised going to watch symphony orchestras. I didn't
wow.
know who Mahler was and Verdi and Puccini until I was in my 20s. This whole world was new to me when I ended up at music school, kind of accidentally. And so the reason I emphasize it is that because I think for the vast majority of the public who aren't interested in this academic approach to old music, who might not understand why you might revive this music, especially in these formats that are very formal in a concert hall, buying an expensive ticket.
Right.
The reason I emphasize it all is because if someone like me who comes from playing, in a metal band to discovering this music and then going, wow, this is really something,
That's really
can
cool.
latch onto it. For me, it means that more people could probably do the same thing, and it's more accessible than people think. And this is why I've taken. This is a bit of a tangent, but this is why I've taken to YouTube so much, is because I find that YouTube is not this formal venue, which kind of gatekeeps from the normal public. You just put out this performance, and you
Right.
can watch it or not, and then you get a whole new audience, and you can see that. What I found from seeing that is that so many people are interested and fascinated by the instruments, the sounds, the music, and they're moved. But those people, a lot of whom are loving the video and saying, "I love," and not just I wouldn't say it's because of me. I would say because the music and the instruments are so good,
Sure.
and I'm just showing them, "Hey, look at this." And
Okay.
what's so cool about that is that this same person who's saying that probably wouldn't come to my concert if I gave them a free ticket. But here they stumbled upon the video, and suddenly they go, "Hey, Theorbo is really cool. I like Theorbo now. I'm going to listen to some Theorbo music." And that's just an amazing gift that we have as modern people, the discoverability of these instruments and in a non-academic form. I think is really makes it more accessible and able to be appreciated by a wider audience.
I appreciate your sharing. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, again, like you say, you go on for several hours, several lifetimes, but yeah, we kind of see these questions of raising. We see these questions being raised of what is classical, what is historical, and what's accurate in terms of kind of enjoying these things anew, right? I mean, it could have very well been that a lot of this music was played in contexts. and I think there's been some good research to show that these self-same pieces or styles didn't always have that polish to them. Maybe I think it's a viable question to ask.
Muchas gracias por acompañarnos en esta edición video del blog de la Sociedad de la Vihuela. Y gracias, por supuesto, a Brandon Acker por conversar y compartir sus ideas y opiniones y experiencias. Claro, siempre hay más que aprender y te invitamos pues a visitarnos en nuestro sitio web sociedadelavihuela.com. Gracias. Hasta luego.